Let's get things straight here. Racing games are dead. The golden age of Need for Speed is over. The last good Forza game came out in 2016, and for Gran Turismo, well, they would rather have you buy cars with real life money than earn them in game. Racing games this past decade have really failed to innovate on even the simplest of terms. It's hard to be a racing game fan nowadays because every time you go ahead and bring up that you like playing racing games, everyone reminisces about the old school Need for Speed games like, for instance, Need for Speed Most Wanted, Test Drive Unlimited, or hell, even old school Gran Turismo. But can you really blame them? That's the last time people had fun with this genre. And with 2024 looking like a dry year for racing games yet again, there is only hope of the new Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown making its debut sometime this year and putting racing games back on track. Now, I'm not saying are all racing games bad, certainly not. I have been blessed with playing Need for Speed Hot Pursuit with my friends, and trust me, we don't get mad or competitive when we play that game at all. I mean, seriously, we don't get mad at each other at all.
I just said, I forgot to play this game, does a Tokyo Drift. What the fuck, Chris?
Regardless of that, I was thinking about what other racing games haven't I played, and I should play until, Test Drive releases later sometime this year. Is there any franchises that I have missed? And yes, there is. You see, as I was scrolling trying to find some racing games or hidden gems, and when I'm not playing Need for Speed Hot Pursuit with my friends, that's when I found a franchise I all but forgot about. A franchise that I used to walk past in the stores when I was young and said, nah, I'm a Need for Speed guy. But now, in 2024, I thought I'd give the series a shot and see why so many people call this a loved and beloved series. And for that, we gotta go back to 1998.
Hello, citizens of Europe. As spokesperson for SAPS, the Society Against PlayStation, I'd like to talk to you about a menace threatening humanity. It's happening right here, in our very homes, and corrupting the lives of our loved ones. Yes, friends,
You see, Sony released the PlayStation 1 in North America back in September of 1995, and they wanted a racing game to grab people's attention as well as becoming a system seller. So they contacted Bandai Namco, the creators of Pac-Man and Galaga, to work on a game series called Ridge Racer for home consoles. And what released a few years later, in December of 1998, was Ridge Racer Type 4, with one of the best intro cinematics I have ever seen to a racing game. I'm sorry I had to let you watch that. I had to nerd out a little bit because, like I said, to me it is the best intro cinematic to a racing game. It gets you in the mood. It's a late 90s, early 2000s aesthetic. It screams old school, and it just had me like this.
Oh, that's so cool!
But anyways, I started my journey with Ridge Racer Type 4, and I decided to grab it on the PlayStation 5 via the PlayStation Classics catalog that Sony has. And you know what? I had a hell of a good time. The menus took some getting used to at first, but within 5 minutes, I got it down. The handling of the cars also felt strange to control, but halfway through my first lap, it just felt like I was getting the hang of it, and it was just so easy to control. You see, growing up on titles like Need for Speed, the cars have weight where, you know, when you throw them around in a corner, you have to make the proper adjustments not to understeer or oversteer. Ridge Racer, on the other hand, they don't really care. You can throw a damn car in the just a turn at 150 miles an hour, and developers are like, hey, go for it. You got it. Now, I don't want you to think that I'm trashing the handling model. I'm not. The handling model is far, far from bad, okay? The best feeling I can equate it to is having control of the car until you don't, because it is a very rewarding experience when you're drifting around a turn at 150 to 160 miles an hour. And speaking of rewarding, Ridge Racer Type 4 was the game that came out on the original PlayStation. Obviously, like I said, right? And at the time, it had cutting-edge graphics and a replayability factor that is still seen to this day. And I'm not even joking, even today in 2024, the game still holds up as being fun and one of the grandfathers for arcade racers. And to be honest, I didn't think this game would hold up very well, just like some retro games age like milk in time. But Ridge Racer Type 4, well, it's beyond it. It aged like fine wine, and a gem still worth playing today. It never stops being fun, and the game encourages you to keep playing one more race, beat one more time, and unlock new cars.
Got a new car, ready to roll.
And you know how I was kind of nerding out about the intro cinematic being one of the best that I've ever seen for an opening to a racing game? Dude, I'm not exaggerating when I say this too. The soundtrack in this game is phenomenal. I mean, there were times where I'm racing like against the clock and I'm in a really tense position, and all of a sudden I start bobbing my head because the damn beats on this game and the techno that plays on this game is just good. I think racing games today really don't have a great soundtrack anymore, and I know it could be lack of music taste and stuff like that, but back in the early 2000s, racing games were crazy with the soundtracks. Like, for instance, Midnight Club, when you were trying to load into the garage and they played this banging ass instrumental to keep you busy while the loading screen was going. And you're welcome, by the way, for unlocking one of your childhood core memories right there. Don't worry about it, I got you covered. But regardless of that though, seriously, like for instance, Need for Speed Underground 2, anytime you were driving around the city in Bayview, whether that be racing, cruising, or just, you know, customizing your cars, you would have a soundtrack that would immerse you into the world and lock you into whatever you were doing. It's called immersion, and racing games back then did it super well. And I cannot believe that Ridge Racer with this type of music just locks me in. I'm not even a techno or electronic guy. Yeah, I like a lot of music, but I'm very picky when it comes to this. So for Ridge Racer to do it all the way back in 1998, damn man, they knocked it out of the park. All in all, I guess I'm just a sucker for the Y2K aesthetic in the late 90s things. I just think that shit is just so cool as well as enjoyable, you know? But don't get surprised when you start playing this game and all of a sudden you catch yourself bopping your head to some of this music, because I for sure did. I just know after playing Ridge Racer Type 4, I needed to see what this franchise has in store, because if they were capable of doing this back then, I cannot wait to see what they have in store for me. So, after playing Ridge Racer Type 4, I instantly went on eBay and I ordered two games, Ridge Racer Type 5, which was a launch title for the PlayStation 2 back in the day, and Ridge Racer 6 for the Xbox 360, and so I could play it on my Series X, you know. So after waiting a couple days for them to arrive in the mail, I finally got Ridge Racer 5 and 6, and I wanted to play 5 because obviously you want to go to the sequel of a really surprisingly good game, and right off the bat I was excited, ready to play, and even the intro got me really excited yet again.
Ridge City. This is for all Here are the Boom Boom Satellites coming straight at you with some wicked beats. Check it out now.
But there was a problem, and I noticed it right off the bat. The handling for this game, well, to be honest with you.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
Now, I'm not joking either. It nearly took me 3 to 4 times to find a car that was worth driving. I don't know what the hell happened in the development process, but for the love of God, the cars handle like they're sliding on oil. I don't understand. Like, Ridge Racer Type 4, you at least had control. This game, I had no control. I don't know. It could be I suck at this one, but it was so frustrating. I literally wanted to throw my controller. Okay? And the problem was, too, the AI in this game, if you set them on easy, you blow right by them. If you put them on medium, you can't fucking beat them. They're unbeatable. I'm not kidding you. Ridge Racer 5 is a flawed game that has a really, really bad learning curve, okay? And it honestly hasn't aged really well, unlike its predecessor. But now, is the game bad? No, I wouldn't call it a bad game. And to be honest with you, it's just painfully average. You know what I mean? However, if I was to get this on launch day, way back then, well, I would have been satisfied for like a month or two, but man, I would have been sure to save up my paycheck and drove back to a store to get a new game, man. Like, honestly, this was really disappointing to play, just to be frank with you. And after playing Ridge Racer 5, I was really disappointed, really hesitant in going into Ridge Racer 6. I didn't think I was going to like the next game because I was like, man, it was just so disappointing. But thank God, I was wrong. Ridge Racer 6 was another launch title for the original Xbox 360 back in 2005, and let me tell you something, this game I like. Lots of tracks, lots of cool cars, and a great progression system through the campaign, along with a stylistic intro cinematic that's not as good as Type 4, but also you just gotta give it props because it is really cool. Also, the really cool thing about Ridge Racer 6 is that it plays extremely well. It is so user-friendly, there's no learning curve, it is one of those rare arcade racers that you can pick up, play, and have fun. And this game is really great in split screen when you have a friend over and you're both trying to beat each other up in, like, you know, time trial or trying to come in first place in a circuit race. It is a great time and I highly recommend this, especially if you have an Xbox Series X sitting around. Get a used copy off of eBay, get this game, and especially if you're into arcade racers, you will not regret it. The really sad part about playing the Ridge Racer series nowadays is that not long after 6, there was the 7th game that came out for the PlayStation 3 a year later, and it really wasn't received as well as this game was. And that was pretty much the end of the series. Yes, I know that Ridge Racer had, you know, mobile ports and a Ridge Racer 8 whatever, Apocalypse, you know, but to me, these are the core games. To me, this is a series that is worth revisiting and is worth your time. The problem is that with the new console hardware coming out, this game and franchise was quickly left in the dust.
And will continue to offer the best value on the market. I'm very proud to announce that PlayStation 4 will be available at $399.
And it really is a shame because I would have loved to see what the next consoles could have done. For instance, like even back then with the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, when they were announced, Ridge Racer was nowhere to be seen. And God knows we need some games now on the 9th generation of consoles. I would have loved to have seen a launch title for the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X. It's just so sad to see how bad racing games have gotten today versus how good they were back then. And to be quite honest with you, I don't see us returning to that golden age anytime soon. But you know what? Don't get upset that racing games aren't as good as they once were. Yes, the golden age has been long gone, but there are quite a few gems hiding and just waiting for you to find them. Just make sure Ridge Racer is one of them. Oh, and just a quick editor's note, Nacon just had their event to reveal that Test Drive Unlimited is now a always online racing game MMO, even though the previous two titles were not always online. I don't have to remind you that The Crew 1, as soon as the server shut down, you're done with the game, and it also, with Need for Speed 2015, also had always online connection, and unfortunately you couldn't pause the game if a delivery driver wanted to come up and deliver you a pizza. And unfortunately, once that game's also offline, you have no way to play it. I don't know why these companies want their games to fail on release date, but yeah, if you want to keep pushing games as a service, we're not going to buy them. Unfortunately though, Test Drive doesn't look like it's going to be the answer, but who knows? Maybe racing games in the future will get better.
Hey, I doubt it!